Hello, everybody. It's Kim O'Hara, and I am take 3 live again from the Marmalade Cafe in beautiful El Segundo, post the Independent Writers of Southern California Association meeting. And Dorothy and I have played with tablets and iPhones and wireless connections, and we're so determined. And this is why Dorothy finished her book, because she's really determined to get her book done. And that's what it takes to finish your book, is complete willingness, determination, candor, and drive. And that's what it's taken for us to do this Facebook Live today, actually. So it's really like metaphorical. Dorothy has written a beautiful memoir. I'm going to invite her in now, especially since the restaurant I'm in now is starting to fill up and they're giving me the hairy eyeball. I'm going to introduce Dorothy. Let's hope this time that we can get her to come in. I'm saying go live with her now, and hopefully she'll come up. It says we can't go live with her. I don't know why this keeps happening. It's totally fascinating. Let's see, go live with Dorothy. It says can't go live with Dorothy, although I could go live. What happens? We're waiting for the blinking, inviting sign. And here she is! Yay! It's Dorothy the Amazing!
Oh my gosh, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great. I am so excited.
Gosh.
I was saying
to me too.
I was saying to the viewers that you and I making this Facebook Live happen was like what it takes to write a book. You have to be absolutely determined every step of the way, even when something doesn't seem to go right, or there isn't enough time, or you're not connecting with the material, or it seems like, you're just not sure how it's going to come together. It does. So we're a testament to that. I wanted to ask you a couple questions. I think we have a delay on our broadcast, so I'm going to try and ask you the question and then give you some time to talk about it. If you could if you could tell the viewers, when you came to me, tell me what you brought, and then explain where it went in your process.
Oh boy. Okay. When I first met you, Kim, I had, I think, roughly 60, 80 pretty solid pages, what I thought was solid, and I knew the story that I wanted to tell. And I think the big thing that you helped me with initially was laying it out and putting it into some kind of thematic sequence. And you pointed out to me that this was a memoir, and I had to really put myself into this book. Mm-hmm. I was concentrating on the more sensational aspects of the great story I had to tell. And so we sat down, I think it was for almost an entire day, and initially went through my work and plotted it all out. And then you gave me writing assignments, and we went chapter by chapter. It was quite the in-depth process, and it fleshed out this entire book. I've got 21 chapters now. I'm on my 3rd draft. So yeah, it was great.
And you showed up every single week to do whatever was assigned and trusted, because there were times when I would say, oh, you need to write about that part where you went on this religious journey, or write about that part where you had, a year where you were drinking and singing in a karaoke bar. Like, can we write about that? And those ended up being pretty profound stories.
Yeah, yes, exactly. I think I was maybe at first a little timid to really reveal who I was. I mean, talking about, I spent a whole year in a bar drinking every night. Oh my gosh, I wasn't going to write about that. But you pointed out that that's not everyone's story. And what did I learn from that? And there was so much richness there that I was able to extract and write about. And it's a really colorful story. It's just that one chapter alone. So yeah, a big time you helped me point out things I should be writing about in a memoir to make it really poignant, memorable, emotional.
Someone, Mario Romero, just said hi to you.
Oh, hi, Mario. Thank you for joining. How fun.
That's great. You have fans that are joining. That's amazing.
Yay!
So when you came to me, you described this as a legacy piece. and you were hoping to share this with your family. That was your goal. You were going to share this with your family. And I said to you, I feel like there's more of an audience out there for this. And explain to the viewers a little bit what part of that story we were talking about. Give them, without giving it all away, what was the juicy part?
Okay. Okay, all right. Well, you know, I always had this great love of my Irish ancestry, starting really very young. And I'd always ask my mother, why am I so interested in Ireland? I wanted to go there so badly. And she'd always point to my grandfather, Henry McLaughlin. And so I thought, and then when I found out my mother's secret, I knew I had to write a book. And I was thinking initially for family, as a legacy. A memoir is a great way of talking about family. And of course, I wanted to go into a little Irish history, maybe a little too much Irish history. And I had that in the first draft. And I remember, Kim, you specifically pointed out to me that you can get a little too preachy when you're just talking really dry text. So I was able to bring even the piece about Irish history that I do talk about. I was able to dig up a story about my grandfather and to talk about that. So that was exciting. And I think the other thing you pointed out to me was, well, this book, this appeal, and just all of the different facets of the book has a lot greater appeal than just maybe my Irish and my American family. So that was interesting.
It was, and we've talked about how this is a movie, and how you're a performer, and how in the course of writing this book, and I'm not going to say it was the book because that would mean that I'm like a, you know, I'm not saying that, but I do believe over the course of writing this book, you left your job, you realized that you were going to become a performer. You started to take your creativity really seriously. Do you think a little bit had something to do with the transformation that happened to you in writing the book?
Yeah, I think definitely. What surprised me about writing the book was when I really dug into my own emotions and feelings and really expressed myself. It made me realize that I've always loved singing and performing, and as I looked through my life at different aspects and pieces of it, I realized that performer's always been there with me. Even in my technical long career, I was doing a lot of performing. Even when I would teach software classes, I was always singing to the class and doing things like that.
That's great.
So, I've always been a crazy one. But it made me realize, my calling in life. Yeah, I'm Irish. I'm very Irish. So it made me realize I wanted to transition out of my career and start to really do the things that were more heartfelt that I loved. And one of them was definitely the writing. I really love the whole process of writing. And I've been improving my singing. I do sing regularly at a spiritual center here in Southern California. I do some solos, which is great fun. And I also love to act, and I'm thinking of a show, and a one-woman show, so that's kind of in the works. So we'll see how it all turns out.
And you have so much material. You have an entire memoir of material to write a one-woman show and to create a movie. And who do we say is going to star in your movie? Colin Farrell? Is it Colin Farrell? Is he the
maybe? Yeah, he'd be one I might choose. He'd play my father, that dark-haired, dark-eyed.
That's right. That's right. And there's aspects of Ireland that you write about in this book. And we did talk about, you know, and you mentioned this, how much history to put in about Ireland and England and Scotland. And I think that over the process of involving yourself in the story and putting together the pieces of your own development, you saw where the history actually fit in with supporting the characters. And that's when you saw that it had a lot of relevance.
Yeah, yes, definitely. Both my Irish grandfather, Henry, and my birth father were very involved with Ireland from a political standpoint. So I think writing the book made that even more real. And I've always had those Irish Republican, I might add, leanings
Right,
myself. So,
right.
so it's kind of fun to discover how much both of them also were an awful lot. I think I take after both of them quite a bit.
What advice, and we're going to wrap with this, what advice would you give folks who are on the fence about writing their book, that are working like a 50-hour job? You are working in your profession, you're very, when you took on this book, we would talk and you would be having these like 60-hour work weeks, but you would deliver the chapter. What would you suggest to them in terms of when they say, oh, maybe I should wait until I have more free time? What would you suggest?
You know, I would encourage people to dive in and carve out the time. And having you, Kim, as a coach to keep me accountable on our weekly sessions, that really helped push me along. And it wasn't easy because of my work, but I made the time. And I know every writer is different. With me, it was dive in and spend maybe an entire Saturday, 8 hours writing. Other people, it's an hour a day that might carve out maybe in the morning or whenever they're fresh. But I would say don't hesitate. You never know where a book is going to take you. And one of the big benefits for me is just the internal transformation, feeling like I really saw my life um, all the way from being a child and what I went through up until now, and really created that cohesive narrative of who you are. So it can really change your life, and it can be for you or it can be for a greater audience. Your family might enjoy reading it, your children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, maybe 20, 30, 40 years from now. And I think to myself, well, how wonderful if I'd have had a manuscript from, say, my grandfather or grandmother that told about their life, and that I would get a sense of who they are. And
Mm.
so it's a real opportunity to leave a legacy piece for other people too. And maybe make a movie. You never know.
We're going to make a movie. One of these days, we're going to make a movie. Well, thank you for your time. You've shared a lot. Your story is so unique, and it's so
You're welcome.
has so many facets to it, and you really pushed through a lot to make it happen. And you are now living a creative dream. So I think this will be very inspirational to a lot of other people. So I really appreciate you, and I value you, and I'm so grateful that you are my client.
Oh, thanks, Kim. And I just have to do a shout out. I see Eileen from Ireland. She's a cousin. And I see Melanie, another friend that I've met. We're not related, but she's a delightful gal. And I think, Melanie, you're in England. And also Paula, another gal I used to work with, a great friend. So thank you guys for joining,
Wow.
especially Ireland and England.
Wow, we have Ireland and England on the call. This is amazing. Incredible. My first international Facebook. I love it. Well, you have a wonderful day, and I will post this and we'll
Thanks,
spread the
Kim.
word on it. And thank you
Okay.
again. Talk to you
All
soon.
right. Thanks, Kim. Bye.
Bye.